I will complain as much as I want to complain. You can't stop me.
Oh, what's going on? All right, I think we're going live. Thank you, YouTube. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. And good afternoon. Welcome to another Smudcast. And we are doing Wit and Folly. This is a Smudcast favorite. We love Wit and Folly videos. They're so informative. They're so focused on the hero's journey and Joseph Campbell's Hero with a Thousand Faces. It's like it's our favorite topic in the world. If you want anything related to Joseph Campbell with a female twist. I think there's a female twist on everything. That's Wit and Folly for you, folks. So if you don't know Wit and Folly, get used to it. You're gonna, yeah.
I hope this is what I hope that we get something like the thrown womb scene, because that was hilarious.
She's a riot. She really likes talking about female in any capacity, whether it's supposed to be there or not, or female imagery, or whatever it is. There's going to be some sort of X chromosome, just something. It's going to be women. It's fantastic. We love talking about women. We love listening about women. Maybe not in this capacity, but still, it's always nice to hear. That's just how it goes with Wit and Folly.
Yeah, saying Wit and Folly's a Smudcast favorite, that's very debatable.
Oh, she's the best. I think she's the most
I'd
tolerable.
have to see some kind of statistic or some kind of evidence or proof.
I think compared to Renegade Cut or Maggie May Fish or what's other common other YouTubers?
The Saurian Cinema guy.
Well, that was that just one we watched? I can't recall.
It was just one, but it was like, wait, what is he talking about?
Well, that was the craziest one we saw, because he was referencing another reviewer who wrote a book on what was it exactly? The gender fluidity of Jurassic Park or something like that? I can't recall.
As well as like stuff like what is it? The fact that Jurassic Park represents the patriarchal family as under assault from monstrous women.
I like to just forget that video and act like that video never existed. It's brain hurt, and then he has the whole sponsorship where he has the film of Jurassic Park behind him, and every single frame has been squished down. And it's then a lot of browns.
And he spent
brown colors.
Over $100 on that lithograph or whatever the hell that thing was.
That is like the perfect scam to print off a screenshot from like every frame of the film, squeeze it into one long artwork, and then just sell it, because you don't even have to put any effort into it. It's just Photoshop, bish bash bosh, but some algorithm stuff, and it's done. And then you just print it out, you send it off, and then you can pump those out. The amount they have on the website is just insane.
I gotta say,
they just pump them out like nothing, because they just make them so easily.
That was probably the best link to a product I've ever seen in a video, because its entire backdrop throughout the entire video was this painting, and you're like, okay, I mean, that's fine. You could choose whatever you like for doing your green screen or background. But it's like, by the way, this is Jurassic Park. And you're like, oh, that's nice. You bought that? You paid money for that?
Well, no, I think he got it for a discount because it was his sponsorship.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever affiliate marketing thing he was doing, obviously it was a big deal for him. So I'm glad he's happy with his, whatever you call those, monochromatic... Were they one pixel long or wide, and they just took every second or every 10 seconds or 30 seconds of the film? That was a painting? Oh, I can't remember. Bizarre.
I think so, but it's just like I know for a fact, like I should be getting the book in the mail soon.
Oh, you bought it.
So I can read it on stream. Yes, I bought that book because
that it's not a painting unless you actually use paint. So it's not a painting; it's a print.
Okay, well, his tastes are our own. The paint or the thing he had on his background was not the problem. It was the video itself and the author who wrote that book that Dunn just bought. So that was
it was just a very stupid thing to buy. It's like the actual frame by frame film. It's a perfect scam.
So what we're trying to say is that Whitney Folly is good compared to everyone else we've encountered. So she's pretty digestible. We can get around her. We can not hurt our brains in a large capacity, and we're okay. So hey, Glib, how's it going, buddy?
She's
Hello, how you guys doing?
Oh, it's roasting over here in Toronto. It's just really hot. So I'm just glad to take a breather and just drink water and just relax. So yeah, have some fun.
She's
on the same way.
She's also better than Mundane Matt.
Well, that's kind of, I mean...
That's completely subjective.
I mean, it's like comparing the dirt to like a boulder. I mean...
To a boulder?
Who's the boulder in the situation?
Good question. I'm not sure.
Or maybe Mundane Matt is dirt in the shape of a boulder.
Yeah, honestly, I was getting angry listening. Like, it's very rare for me to get angry at anything. And to hear his enthusiasm and see his facial expression and have him talk like that was just, this is not right.
You better not shit talk him. He might flag your video.
Oh,
like AT chat. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, he's been known to do that frequently.
Which kind of what started to land him in hot water before he, committed seppuku and destroyed his whole channel.
Oh, he got wrecked by Medicare and stuff on the kill stream, and
he got wrecked by a hell of a lot of people. Hell of a lot of people.
My favorite thing is that Dame Pesos has the most popular show on YouTube with Mundane Matt on it. It's the Sinus Matt Show. Have you guys seen that? He goes after.
Saw last year, yeah.
He goes after the Young Turks and Cenk Uyghur all the time, Uyghur, whatever. And
of course,
I'm pretty sure everybody's seen that election meltdown video. He does that with all like the cheery music, and he's got like boundless enthusiasm. So shout out to him.
Cenk Uygur's reaction to the 2016 election is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, everybody go check out that video.
Yeah, it is. If you ever want to see like some really depressed, wrong people who thought they were going to be right this entire time, and then were
I just recall
it's like their entire world just got shattered.
Water buffalo.
I recall the dancing Matt, and he made a song out of "Turn Off That Pesky Ad Block," and he just kept repeating.
Oh, there's a whole album of like MC Mundane Matt or Jarbo or something like that, and it's all clips that are rearranged, and the album is like professionally produced and everything. It's like multiple tracks. It's actually pretty impressive. So go MC Jarbo. Yeah, there you go. Everybody go check out MC Jarbo. He's the hot up-and-coming MC. Yeah, it's great. I might use it as some of my like intro music sometime. That'd be fun.
Okay, here's John Lemley from Super Chat. Thank you, sir. I would like to apologize for being broke the rest of August. My apartment does not oversee the park. I'm not part of the Yale thing. Oh, that's okay, John.
What? So you go homeless for Pokemon, but you won't go homeless for Smud Boy? What's wrong with you?
I just checked MC Jarbo, and it is quite something. I'm gonna have to listen to that.
Killing the game.
All right. Well, everyone's in the watch together. We're doing a 10-minute and 40-second video of Wit and Folly talking about women and Joseph Campbell. Here we go.
Hero, villain, anti-hero, ego, shadow, M&Ms.
Is it literally just getting text and inverting the colors of it? It is. It's just inverting colors.
Heroine. It's whatever the difference or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, it's just straight inverts. You can see it's the exact opposite of the colors.
Why we need the anti-heroine? Because we're so high.
Did you know that the word villain does not appear in the Hero with 1,000 Faces?
Okay, you know what? She's actually correct. It doesn't.
A story about heroes. A book talk about heroes and analyzing heroes doesn't talk about villains.
Well, it doesn't use the word villain.
Well, the funny thing is, there's other instances of antagonist in the story because Joseph Campbell was referred to archetypes And villain is not an archetype. It's just a term we use for the bad guy.
Yes.
So...
AKA antagonist. It's just that not all antagonists are villains.
Exactly.
It's... Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
Like an
it's
example.
true, but I don't think it matters if there is the word villain being used or isn't the word being villain used. I don't think that matters at all.
He uses the term evil a lot. He doesn't really reference good and bad, but he talks about the shadow self or the badness in the individual. So there's all kinds of Jungian archetypes and other things like that. But this is like the basis of understanding myth and mythos in stories for thousands of years. So Campbell's pretty allegorical in everything. So if he's not referring to the bad guy, he's talking about badness or ethics or morals in some other capacity.
Campbell doesn't talk about villains or bad guys in most of his works. The conflict, whether nature or man or the self, is just a metaphor of the struggles of that society. So telling a story about a person who makes bad choices is the same as telling a story about a person who makes good choices.
Okay, I'm assuming she's referring to good as in nice, kind, good-natured, and bad as in evil, as opposed to good actions or proper actions that you would say like the Tao Te Ching or some other Eastern philosophy.
Well, it sounds like she's saying good and bad actions, like good. Bad action. I guess it seems a very general term to use the word bad actions. I don't know what she's being specific about.
Well, there's a difference between, let's say, doing a 3-point shot and missing. That's a bad action, or shooting someone in the leg for fun. That would be.
Well, I meant more of like moral. What do you say? Morally.
Yes.
Like
Moral.
or an action which is either good for you or bad for you or your health or your future or what you're doing. It's like if it's antithetical to your desires.
Right. So we're talking about a good thing which is for society or is good for people, or something which is actually the right way to do something, the right way to sign a letter or open a door or walk across the room or what have you. There's a proper way to do it. We talk about this in terms of ethics and morals all the time, or aesthetics rather in ethics. We compare the two a lot. It's the same terminology, different contexts. Oh, hey, Voice, how's it going?
Hello. Yes, I'm good.
Good to hear. It's cooking over here on the western seafront, so I hope it's okay in the UK, wherever you are.
It reached a whopping warm 65 degrees Fahrenheit here today.
Oh my, I'm Canadian, so that would mean not that bad. Yes, all hail motherland.
Right now we have a very cool breeze going in, and that's very pleasant.
All right.
Cool breeze. It's nighttime.
What? Yeah, a cool breeze at night because it's cold.
Oh, yeah, true.
But what do you mean you can't get a cool breeze at night?
I didn't say that.
Logic?
I didn't say that.
You said at night, like that was something that didn't make sense.
Shut up.
Okay, guys.
Campbell would say that every action has good and bad consequences in real life.
I would like to get a quotation for that. I really would. I don't think he actually said that, but okay, fine. We'll believe her.
Black and white are the qualities of every act. Every act has both good and evil.
And you will be able to save your wife from certain death.
For every good action, according to some, there is a consequence considered evil by others. So there is no villain's journey in story. Vogler even states that villains are the heroes of their own stories, or they're the shadows of that hero, representing something the hero must overcome or integrate. So how do you tell a story about a villain as the main character? Well, simple. If they are the main character, then they are no longer a villain.
This is something that's explored in stories quite often. The idea that everyone thinks they're the hero of their own story.
Yeah, but
I seriously doubt Darth Vader goes around thinking he's a good guy.
there's a difference between a hero and a protagonist and a villain and an antagonist. Now, two different definitions. You can definitely have a villain be a protagonist, actively doing bad or harmful things, and they still see themselves as doing the good, and you can still have an antagonist who doesn't believe that they are a villain and believes what they are doing is right. And there's lots of complications and well thought out media exploring this. But just because they become the protagonist doesn't necessarily mean they're the hero. They can be the hero of their own story, but not necessarily a hero.
Like, actually, a good example of a villain who is a protagonist is Jorg Ankrath in the book Prince of Thorns. It's basically like, what if you were in the head of Joffrey Baratheon, only he's actually competent for a whole book?
I don't believe Campbell goes into morally gray too much, but nothing is saying that we can't apply the hero's journey to a villain, or vice versa. It's really the same story. And you could have the story of the hero and the story of the villain be shadow selves of each other, and that would be totally fine. There's nothing... This is not a complicated concept that you would require Joseph Campbell to analyze. It would be, why would you write a story this way? Why would you want an anti-hero? Why would you want to write Batman? Why would you want these characters to do what they do?
Because I'm Batman.
Yeah, it's very, very straightforward. You don't need to go into Jungian archetypes to understand why you do this. It might help, but okay. I mean, maybe she's going to teach us how to do that. That'd be great.
So what about an anti-hero? Most would qualify Harley Quinn as an anti-hero.
No.
A general definition of an anti-hero is morally...
No. Maybe you in modern day would define Harley Quinn as them trying to make her an anti-hero, but
She's just a villain. She's a henchman.
Yeah, she's a villain. She's a henchman, and that's all she was designed to be, and that's all she's supposed to be. It's like if you're trying to make the Joker... Imagine trying to make the Joker an anti-villain or like an anti-hero.
Wasn't that kind of the point of the Joker film?
Well, he's a villain.
Well, it's showing how one can get from A to B. But I don't think he's the villain of his film.
Oh, you mean his? Oh, all right. Okay, so
I wouldn't consider the Joker to be the villain.
I thought you were talking about like the Dark Knight, but no.
No.
You're talking about the actual Joker film. Yeah. I would say that is not exactly the depiction of the Joker which we are used to is the norm. It is still a good film, and I think it's a good story. But if it's a good Joker, that's another case. Because if
He's
something,
a protagonist.
yeah,
he's the protagonist of the story, but whether or not he's a villain is up to the audience. Based on the credit of his name, he's considered a villain. He does villainous things. So you could say that he's a villain, but he's the protagonist of the story, even though he's a villain. It is his descent. So there is that. But I can't think of one Joker as a good guy, except for like in the middle of a comic book where he's like, I'm a good guy now, bats. I'm just kidding though. Whatever.
One point is that even in that film, as Glib just stated, he's not the hero at all. He's the protagonist, but not the hero.
If you use protagonist and hero like equally, then he is. But if you're using hero in the sense of virtue, then no, absolutely not.
Yeah. And what I'm more talking about in terms of Harley Quinn and the Joker analogy is that imagine if you just made the Joker, I don't know, more along the lines of Deadpool, like they're trying to do with Harley Quinn. It just doesn't work because that's not what the character's designed to do, and it's not what it's designed to be.
Deadpool is supposed to be the only Deadpool. He's not supposed to be like a template for other people. He's a parody character. So we need to stop copying that.
Everjance, thank you, sir. So early in the stream and already so controversial and so brave. Bravo, Smudcast, bravo. Yeah, well, some people do see Harley Quinn as an anti-hero. It's, how you, maybe in her earlier comics, remember her later comics, where she has in DC Run, where she does actually star as the hero. You could see that as being an antithesis to having virtue. But even though she goes about her daily life in a slice of life sort of manner, that's kind of natural. You can tell any story of that a character. Like, that's why we see her as a villain, because she's always the henchman of a villain. She's not doing good things. She might pet a cat here and there, but she's pretty much a psychopath. So once you have those elements of psychopathy in you, and you murder people, and you actively pursue chaos and other things, that's a villain. She might have flavors of humanity, like even the Joker has, but ultimately her goals are villainous.
Yeah.
Ambiguous, but I don't think this is the best way to use it. Vogler says there are two types of anti-heroes. One, characters who behave much like conventional heroes.
If they're no longer the main,
if they're the main character,
they're no longer the villain.
Or have a wounded quality.
Is that what she said?
Or
go back.
Who behave much like
a bit
conventional
further.
heroes. Vogler says there are two types of anti-heroes. One,
get that?
characters who behave.
Yeah, Vogler says there's two types of anti-heroes. So she's describing anti-heroes specifically, not necessarily villains.
But no, wind it back. She said if you're the main character of the story, you're no longer the villain.
All right, let's try it again.
Where's that?
Go back to
Definition
150.
of an anti-hero
is that,
is
though?
morally ambiguous, but I don't think this is the best way to use it. Vogler says
No,
there
it's
are
back
two
further.
types of anti-heroes.
No, that's it.
Villains are the
wait.
heroes of their own stories, or they're the shadows of that hero, representing something the hero must overcome or integrate. So, how do you tell a story about a villain as the main character? Well, simple. If they are the main character, then they are no longer a villain.
Well, okay, I don't.
Yeah, see, we disagree with this. You could have a main character as a villain or an anti-hero. They have morally ambiguous methods and goals. They could have a morally ambiguous goal, but virtuous methods, or vice versa. So it depends on what they're doing exactly in regards to the ethical framework of the society they're in.
Story's a lot more complex than just the protagonist being a hero. You can tell lots of different ways in lots of different combinations.
Especially in war stories, there's all kinds of anime like that. In the Gundam series, it's all about war. Who do you kill? How? When? Why?
The bit that threw me off was what she said in that last portion with child Anakin in the Jedi Temple. She said, "If you're the main character, you can't. If you're the main character of the story, you can't be the villain." Is what she said.
She was saying that you change the easy way to do it is to not make them a villain, but that's not the only way.
I think what she's trying to infer to is that everyone's the hero of their own story, and even
but that's not even true, though.
The hero.
I don't think that's true.
Well, you look at episode 3. The story is about Anakin becoming evil. So is he a villain or is he just an anti-hero?
No, he's a villain.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, he's a hero that
becomes
becomes a villain. Yeah.
You just tell. Yeah, here's how you do it. You just tell a story about a villain. You just do it. You don't have to couch it in another thing. You don't have to go, oh, they're the hero now. No, they're not the hero. You just tell the villain side of it. Why is that complicated?
Yeah.
So what about an anti-hero? Most would qualify Harley Quinn as an anti-hero. A general definition of an anti-hero is morally ambiguous, but I don't think this is the best way to use it.
I like that.
Vogler says there are two types of anti-heroes. One, characters who behave
It's
much
bullshit,
like
though.
conventional heroes, but are given a strong touch of cynicism or have a wounded quality. Or two,
That sounds too basic, bitch.
That
to me.
sounds like an internal thing, like, oh, they've been hurt in the past, like Batman was hurt in the past, therefore he's going to beat people up for a greater good or something like that. It's like,
that makes him an anti-hero. What about Superman, who had lost his entire family and then had to adopt the new culture and grow up with this? And he doesn't feel cynical. Like I like the morally ambiguous thing because they'll make decisions that you don't agree with. I think that's what it boils down to from the position of somebody that is watching it. It's like, oh, I don't think that the hero should have killed that guy. That's what makes him an anti-hero. I don't know if stealing from the poor was a good idea, but it worked in the end, you know. And someone saying ends justify the means. I understand that, but morally ambiguous, if you're going to be reductive, that's pretty good.
Cisco in Deep Space Nine, there's an episode specifically in The Pale Moonlight where his actions lead to the deaths of certain characters, and that's something he has to live with, just because he does certain things which lead to, I don't know, what questionable outcomes of people dying. That doesn't necessarily make him not a hero. Because that wasn't his intention. It's just the idea of, the path to hell is paved with good intentions.
Well, being cynical doesn't make you an anti-hero, and being wounded doesn't make you an anti-hero. It just is your part of your character. That's stupid. What's the other definition?
Central figures of a story who may not be likable or admirable, whose actions we may even deplore, like Macbeth.
That sounds like
or
morally
Scarface.
ambiguous to me. Why are you making it more complicated?
Yeah, that could even be Batman as well. Like there's the previous one, we had a flaw. It's like, okay, yeah, we understand Batman's reason for being, but he's also a tragic hero because of that flaw, and he does morally ambiguous things for a greater good. It's like, yeah, that's also Batman. So maybe Vogler's definition is not the best. Maybe it's a little more complicated than that.
And deplore, like
I would say like there are various. I'd say there are like various flavors of anti-heroes. Like there's the anti-hero on a redemption arc, or an anti-hero on a villain arc. Or an anti-hero who just slowly goes on a darker and darker path, or an anti-hero who kind of has dark methods and then turns their life around. That's a big simplification, but those are the main possibilities that I've seen. Or just an anti-hero that just like is stuck in a morally central place. But usually when you have a protagonist who's an anti-hero, it works to have either of those two perspectives.
The thing I'm hung up on in this definition is not that they're tragic or they have problems, is that they may not be likable. And if you're not liking a character, if you don't find anything about them likable, then you're not going to pay attention. You're not going to care for the story. There has to be something about the character, aside from them being the focus of the narrative, to make them interesting and worthwhile. There has to be a hook. And you can't just say, well, they may not be likable or admirable. It's like, well, then what are you reading for? What are you watching for? What's the point of the story if you don't like it? There has to be a reason to keep paying attention.
Or Scarface. But I want to break it down a little more than that. The term basically means anti-hero archetype. Okay,
this is a problem here. When you define a term, what you don't use is the term in your definition. So, to me, ice cream really means ice cream sandwiches, or it doesn't make sense. You can't just go start using the same word in a definition. If that's the case, then we can see everything as a category. So when I say box, I really mean box, or I really mean green grass is actually just red grass. It's like, no, you have to actually explain what green is, what grass is, to define a word. And to suddenly put into a category, like archetype, is not very good categorization.
But you see, green is only subjective because it's how you perceive it. When the color hits your eye.
Yeah, my perception of green is red, and your perception of green is greens, but we all say green is all the same color because we said so.
I don't see how...
It's subjective. Some people call this color blue, while others call it yellow.
How is anti-hero an archetype?
I think maybe hero is an archetype, and within hero lies a subclass called anti-hero. And then within that can lie other subclasses, but she's not... she's just jumping into anti-hero because that's the topic.
Isn't outlaw an archetype?
Sure, yeah, that's definitely one. Those are...
Outlaw... I don't know. It's weird to make it a dash thing, but whatever. It's whatever,
Her terminology is a little non-becoming, but I think I know where she's going, but let's just see where she's trying to say.
So whatever form a typical hero takes in that time, whatever a hero means to people, that anti-hero is in opposition to that.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Okay, so...
Smelling napalm in the morning.
So pretty much the story needs X, the anti-hero is against X, or the viewers are against X, while the anti-hero is for X. Is that what she's trying to say? I'm not following. See, to me that's a goal. They want a thing, or they have a philosophy of X. And the audience is like, well, that's a bad thing, therefore they're an anti-hero, I guess. I think that's what she's trying to say.
They serve
Okay.
as a foil to the archetype. They subvert.
No, you don't. You don't have a foil for an idea. You have a foil for another character. Why would you even want a foil? That's like, hey, I'm watching a hero story with supervillain or with a superhero, and the superhero is a foil to the concept of the superhero. You're like, wait, what kind of story are you telling me again? That's silly. Why would you need a foil for a concept? You need
a foil.
Yeah, you need a Laertes to your Hamlet. You don't need a Hamlet to your idea of a Hamlet. That's bizarre. I don't know
foil.
Yeah,
foil no matter what.
Batman is a foil to the idea of Batman. You're like, what? Why?
I'm an idea. I'm the Joker. I'm an idea.
See, the Joker is a foil to Batman. That makes sense.
You and me, Batman. I'm just gonna annoy you forever.
Yeah, she's losing me again, but that's okay. This is Wit and Folly, guys. This is what she does.
She annoys Smud.
Literary theorist and critic Herman Northrop Frye
suggested
that there is a center of gravity one must find in order to provide literary analysis on these characters, or to provide literary analysis in general.
I feel like I'm being brainwashed.
He says,
it's a kaleidoscope. It's like, lady, what are you doing to us?
You will love the literary criticism.
Welcome to the world of Joseph Campbell, everybody.
You're all a hero, even if you're a villain.
There are categories of hero and anti-hero. All right, that's fine. Andrew Clark, thank you, sir. One culture's hero could be another anti-hero. No. unless that culture believes in vice and villainy, then yes, that would be an anti-hero, I guess. But virtually every hero across cultures are all the same. That's kind of the premise of Joseph Campbell's work, that they're all very based off classical virtues. Whether you're from India or Greece or Europe, it's all the same.
Unless there is such a center, there is nothing to prevent the analogies supplied by convention and genre from being an endless series of free associations, perhaps suggestive.
This is literally the meme that Mola does on his spoof videos.
He just says,
obscure philosopher said blah 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 for an entire paragraph.
It's so hard to follow along. I'm like, I'm falling into the kaleidoscope matrix.
The reason why I like covering Monday Matt's video is because he just says it straight up. He doesn't go all wishy-washy.
Yeah, but this is like the X-Files music is playing in the background. Like do 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 do. I want to believe this. That's the mythical hero free association extravaganza. Because what this is saying is you need to have structure, right? It can't be an endless series of free associations. But why is she saying it? I have no idea why this is being quoted. What's this going to lead into? Where are we going? I feel like I'm on that Willy Wonka ride. You know what I mean? Where we're going on this. Yeah, I don't know what the poem he says is. I don't remember, but I remember his face.
This is all in regards to a critic or literary analyst who is saying there has to be a gravity, a center to focus your analysis on. It's like, yeah, I agree. You need a criteria.
One guy said it, so
it's true.
But yes.
Why do we believe him? Because he's a philosopher.
There we go.
He has a black and white photo, and he existed in the 1960s or whatever.
He existed.
He said stuff.
That is the minimum requirement to be a philosopher now, to have said something and to have existed.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We're creating a real structure. If archetypes are communicable symbols, and there is a center of archetypes, we should expect to find at that center a group of universal symbols. Frye describes the shift from epics to romance to ironic narratives.
The fuck does that mean?
Shift in the center of
the shift over time to pulpy fiction.
I think she's talking about stuff. The Greek epics or even the Sumerian epics all the way.
What the hell is even that?
What the hell is even that? What does that mean, man? What is that from again?
I don't know. It's the dude's like, bro, chill. And this old guy who's like having a fit is like, the hell is even that?
the hell is it? Yeah, I remember that. I remember what that is. That's more interesting than this.
wish
No, look, the glowing ball from Star Trek, the artificial intelligence, is trying to tell us through the kaleidoscope matrix that over time, genres have shifted from being like these big epics to being whatever, and that's this guy's literary theory. We haven't even gotten to the end of the sentence yet, guys. We haven't made it through the washing machine part of the Willy Wonka trick.
Here's Rin Wesley. Thank you, sir. How about this, guys? An anti-hero is a villain who ends up doing heroic acts.
No, that's not an anti-hero. No, an anti-hero is a guy who may do things that you morally disagree with, or are colloquially or culturally morally disagreeable, to an end that is still a heroic act. It's still virtue. It's still aimed at virtue. It's just that the means and the ways of doing things are not. It's the difference between Punisher and Deadpool and people that shoot people in comic books versus Spider-Man.
It's having a moral goal, but doing immoral things to get there. Right?
Yeah. Or doing things that are amoral. You know what I mean? If you don't save somebody, you do things like, imagine a mercenary hero that doesn't save somebody because he's not paying for it, but he's a good guy. You know, does that make him a hero? Well, he's kind of a amoral hero, I guess. A hero for hire. It's kind of weird. So it's like there's a lot of different ways of breaking it down, but it's basically a morally ambiguous hero. I thought that was funny. The basic definition wasn't enough. She needed to go down the rabbit hole. Now we gotta get past the Red Queen. We'll make it through the eye, through the tilt shift lens of Kubrick 2001: A Space Odyssey. We almost made it back to the present, guys. We're on a historical adventure through literary theory. Get your popcorn and your protagonists.
Yeah, it's like the typical role of the mercenary in fantasy genre, where they do whatever people pay them to do, and that could be murder or killing or what have you, all to get by. So they're not ultimately trying to murder a bunch of people for the sake of it. They're doing a job that no one else can do, and it may involve killing or death. So
Look, lawful good is a hero, right? And then chaotic good is an anti-hero. Or neutral good is an amoral hero.
Using the D&D scoring ethical system. There you go.
Yeah, that video games and traditional tabletop to the rescue. And dice rolls.
Gravity. The archetypes change for a collective. They get tired of them, they outgrow them, the society evolves past them. The hero is like a lion, but what if the hero was like a turtle? The hero is a man.
I think we've covered this before. I remember the turtle analogy.
Did we cover this before?
No.
Is this recursive
This is new.
smud?
No, I remember the turtle.
Okay. Every single one of her videos is about Joseph Campbell, okay? Joseph Campbell uses lots of...
the exact same graphic then, and the exact same analogy.
Not necessarily, but he does make
I remember this graphic, and I remember this analogy. You can't tell me we haven't seen this graphic.
No, are you talking about a perfect female character? Is that the one that you're talking about? By Wit and Folly? With the one that with the LiteratureDevil? Or
maybe
we're talking about...
But I just remember something about a hero being a turtle and the green blob, and then the hero being a lion and then an orange blob.
Well, we're making good time. We've only been at this for an hour, so.
Well, yeah, I was thinking we could probably jump over if we can get through this, recursive. As soon as the hypno ball stops talking to us, we can probably switch over to Monday and Matt and jump on his head. In Minecraft.
Minecraft? What? Oh dear.
Yeah, no, I'm just joking around. But the idea is that we'll just get through this because this is hilarious.
Okay.
This is like yeah, I gotta send you this video about Starseed. I wish LiteratureDevil were here; he'd love that. But
all right.
Yeah, let's get through this Indigo Child.
Okay, here's Joe Crazy. According to this quote by some guy from the 20th century, is water truly wet? Oh dear. If he was a chemist,
but the water next to water is.
Yeah.
You see, if water saturates itself, then water is wet.
Exactly.
But if the water is not saturating itself, then it's not wet.
And just remember to drink your turtle milk, you savages.
I still can't believe that they use spider milk on Lower Decks. I think that was rather... What's the word?
Somebody watches EFAP.
Yeah, no, they're like, hey, spider milk's a thing, guys.
There's someone on the writing team that actually watches EFAP and thought that would be a great idea to put it in there.
I would love it. I would absolutely love it. Let's get through this wit and folly. Literature Jesus is the foil of Literature Devil, says Taker 610. Yes. No, what is it? Cinema Jesus?
Cinema Jesus? Is that what they call it?
Literature Devil versus Cinema Jesus. You don't get the big picture, Literature Devil. I'm here to save the people.
Literature Devil is the foil.
There's an idea of a Literature Devil. Something
An
illusionary.
abstraction.
Yeah, people were telling me about a Jim Sterling
There
video
is no
about
real name.
The Last of Us 2's Abby's muscles, and I'm like, I don't care. Whatever Jim Sterling. He's
Oh,
like
that's a great one. I'm gonna cover that later. If people want to show up for like my evening thing, I'm gonna go over that. Somebody requested it. That's my new thing. If someone requests me to see something, I'll do it.
Okay, well, I don't know. I've gone over it so many times. I made a video of it. Got hit on Twitter a few times. I don't care. If it's that big a deal, put it in the suggestions part of the Discord. We'll filter through it. But
I've never been over Jim Sterling. I'd love to do that.
Oh yeah,
His ridiculous British accent.
Jim Sterling telling us about body chemistry. Fantastic person to talk about that. That'd be great.
With his weird suit with all the pins on it and his hat that has the pink fur and stuff on it. He looks like a clown now. He looks like the leader of a circus.
The fact he's morbidly obese, trying to talk about the weight and physique of a woman in a post-apocalyptic zombie environment when we have actual experts who are actual muscle fitness trainers, bodybuilders who are women telling us this is impossible. If they just left it alone, if they just made her the way she is with no further information, The Last of Us 2 would have been fine. We've been like, yeah, whatever, we don't care. But because they put faulty information in there and fitness trainers went, no, this is ridiculous, this would not work.
It's just fun to do that. It's just fun to be like, nah, you guys are being ridiculous.
Well, if
we
we
have the
just
science.
make her less strong, they're always putting attention to her muscles, and we all know the reason why they're putting attention to her muscles all the fucking time. It's because they just want her to be a strong woman. And you can have
What were we saying, voice?
She's strong, don't you understand? She's the big strong.
I get it, man. I got I'm as a writer, as a Neil Druckmann fan myself. I also have a fetish for strong masculine women and want to put them in a game where I can beat up the character that's created by somebody else that I never liked. I love it. That's what I do.
There was a muscular woman, which was actually the body, what they designed the body of Abby after. But the thing is, Abby has a lot more muscle. No, Abby has a hell of a lot more muscle than the actress they based her off.
That's what the Liberation Front. What they do is they go from house to house looking for protein powder. That's the new project is they're going to make protein powder so that they can be a totally steroided up army. They gave up on a cure for fungus. Now they're just going to get as strong as possible to fight it. They're going to punch the fungus to death.
I could believe that Abby, if you could tone down her muscles and she's just a muscular person, I could believe that was a realistic thing. But the problem is, when you're living in a zombie apocalypse and you don't have access to protein shakes and you can't exercise every fucking 15 seconds of the day, then I don't believe you can have muscles that big.
Pelora says, I don't really remember. But are there even any males in The Last of Us that are bigger than Abby? It's just those big cultist ladies,
Maybe
right?
Fat Carol.
Carol is an absolute fridge.
How did you get so fat? I ate people. It's like, oh.
Don't kill him now.
Fat Geralt. There you go. Yeah,
Like
Geralt. The large and in charge. Fat
The
Geralt.
true hero of The Last of Us.
The anti-hero archetype of The Last of Us. Fat Geralt compares his arms to Abby. Well, that's good. I hope that...
arms like mine.
Yeah, I wonder who won that, what is it, arm wrestling contest? Yeah.
Here's Joe Crazy. Thank you, sir. Don't forget the Gamer Virgin Mary. I don't know what that is referring to.
That's the Literature Devil, Cinema Jesus, and the Gamer Virgin Mary.
Oh, jeez. There's a whole mythos around Literature Devil already? Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and the spoken Holy Ghost.
Okay. I'm out of the loop. All right.
It's just a meme.
Let's keep going.
In order to be out of a loop,
What
there needs to
is
be
the
one in the first
archetype?
place.
And what is the answer to that archetype that connotes a societal shift?
Why?
Some would summarize this as the norm, but I like to make things a little more complicated.
I know.
So I kept coming back to the term.
Wait, how are we going back to a term we haven't been to yet?
I like to make things a bit more complicated. It's like, no, that's not what you do. That's the opposite of what you do.
So 1 plus 1 equals 2, but I like to make it a little bit more complicated. Let's count in base 2, or base 10, or whatever. Let's use binary.
Let's
Did
use
you
my
know
degree.
Did you know that Einstein, in his theory of relativity,
use a big complex word, so we can't use simpler words
Make your
anymore.
life more difficult for yourself, why don't you?
according to Fat Geralt,
The genius of Fat Girl.
You know, this is something you would never do in an essay. If you were to write an essay and say, you know what, teacher, I wanted to make it as simple and easy to understand as possible, but I want to use all my vocabulary and make it really complicated. You know, I actually, like, it's just a stupid idea. Your teacher would laugh at you and send you back to do your homework again because this is ridiculous.
hey, can you get me that expense report, Paul? Yeah, I'd like to do that, but I like to make it a little bit more complicated. Here's 400 copies of this. I faxed it to you, but it's at the post office. You have to go pick it up after 5.
Zeitgeist. The terms pop culture and mass media acknowledge that there are trends and shifts in the consumption of media that, although can be studied after the fact, are mostly unpredictable. So when unexplainable, blame it
No
on the
crap.
zeitgeist. But this German word Zeitgeist, or spirit of the times, comes from philosopher George W.F. Hegel, who believed that all art is a product of its time. All art is a reflection of the current culture.
Oh, no.
Not a controversial idea, I would say. Even
Wait a minute,
now,
pause
the
it.
center of gravity is shifting from an
She's like the Zeitgeist and Hegel just to say that people of the time period make content that's related to the time period. Like, wow, thank you for making it extra complicated.
But what does Zeitgeist have to do with this is what I want to know.
The Zeitgeist, look, the reason why we need an anti-heroine is because women are in, it's all about women now, and because of that, we need to shift into anti-heroine as the new norm, because Harley Quinn was in a movie. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's highly complicated, but I make it simple because I'm not as smart as her.
I'm going to make it simple by quoting the great philosopher Greg the meth dealer down the street from 1967 when he said...
Gregonius Methodonius once said, if you supply a man with a burger, he could turn it into crack if he was smart enough. According to literary... Sorry. It's this is wow, I don't know, but this is definitely pseudo theorism.
I'm not sure what to. This is just Wit and Folly, guys. This is what she does. It's amazing stuff. It's always fun.
It's not amazing. It's a headache.
You're so crazy. I want to eat a Pop-Tart, but I like to make it more complicated than that. Yeah, I don't know, man. Eating Pop-Tarts is just too basic for me. I gotta throw it around the room a few times. Put it in 3 different ovens. Get it wet, get it dry again.
I wanted to cook this chicken, but I wanted to do it my way, so I sent it to the surface of the sun.
I want it to be unique.
We're shifting out of a period of hero movies to anti-hero movies. Watch, that's what she's gonna say. Or your money back.
We barely talked about women, so I'm kind of waiting for this whole conversation to come back to
the other shoe has yet to drop.
The superior sex that's better at everything.
I
love it. Let's keep going.
The anti-hero.
Simp
Okay.
for them. Simp time.
Oh, Jake the Surgeon just caught you before I went to play. Not here 5 minutes. I want my gray matter to go boom. Wit and Folly should replace waterboarding. She is amazing. Like she is.
Oh no.
She's not torture, but she's close.
You know that somebody should make a meme where it's Alex and a Clockwork Orange, and they're going through whatever the process is called. I can't remember because I always mix it up with the process from Brave New World. But when he's getting the eye drops and his eyes are wide open, and they're doing the montage of all the bad things, you should just do a Wit and Folly video. This is egregious.
I mean, Shiny's not wrong when he said that, have we watched this before? Because I feel like quite a lot of her videos blend together.
The Ludovico, Ludovico treatment.
Any minute,
Ludovico,
she's gonna
Void
start
Camp,
telling us
Bakanovsky.
who they are and why they killed them and whatever the fuck the question was in that video that we never learned when I first came onto the Smudcast. That is the question which we'll be asking to the fucking end of time itself. Who fucking died and why they killed them? That's all the video was about, and we never learned.
That's just depression, Shiny. That's what Proton Stalker says. Thank you. That's very humorous.
Here's That's So Skaven. Why men throw their lives away attacking an armed witcher. Yeah, I'll never know something about my waist. What? Okay. I think that's a reference.
That's So Skaven.
Yeah, that's a reference to why every time you're in the game, everyone just chases after you as Geralt.
Fat Geralt to the rescue.
Jake, no, stop. Harley Quinn represents the futility of whether or not women were a mistake. Ooh, I don't know. That's a bit too broad, sir.
Gosh, Jake. Wow. How do you feel saying that? Jeez.
Sexaltism.
I can't believe you just casually said what we were all thinking. All of us, everyone here. No, just kidding.
I'm waiting for the women.
Of sexism on the Smudcast. This is evidence that we are all horrible, racist, sexist Nazis, and we should be cast off from the internet and deplatformed.
He said it. I didn't say it. You heard him, folks. Anyway, let's get back to the excellent story of mankind, the Zeitgeist, the power, why we need an anti-hero.
Ruin his life for saying those horrible things. Therefore, your life should be ruined.
True. You should just dox me and ruin my life. That'll show me.
You see, okay, I'm now going to dox Glib on stream. He is Clint Eastwood.
I am Clint Eastwood, the clone, not the original, the Glib version.
Era of superheroes to antiheroes. I mean, technically, our superheroes have already been given the anti-hero makeover.
True.
They break the molds that came before, even if they are the same characters from the same source material. They're more real, more complex, more relatable to the society of today.
I don't think they're more real to the society of today. I think they exist as fiction, and people know that, and they associate whatever with those heroes they want.
I think as the MCU has gone on, it's become more disconnected from reality. As you get more and more bizarre heroes, and it starts to have a less grounded feel. I think Iron Man and Captain America are the two most grounded stories to tell within the MCU, and then from there it just gets incrementally more removed from reality.
I actually agree with her here. I think that I don't think she's wrong. I think she's using overly complex terms. Like, the Zeitgeist of the time period is basically, we're all depressed, cynical, all the people making the content, we want to subvert, do all of that. So I do think it represents the time period. I just think this time period sucks. But the thing is that I don't think that it's necessarily more relatable for, I think a lot of kids, a lot of teenagers early on, that like the noble right characters because they want to do the right thing. There's a lot of people that are like that. I don't think inherently being an anti-hero is more relatable, unless you're saying that this time period, it's more relatable to be, whatever, a depressed version of yourself.
I can't see the idea that a piece of fiction means more, or you're more connected to a piece of fiction than you are to your own life, which implies your own life is either really limited or you're really lacking. Like, let's say you don't have any legs, or you never got to see the sunlight or what have you because of your condition. I can understand that, because that's all you know. All you know is a world of books or a world of movies. So, okay, fine, but I don't really put Charles Xavier on a pedestal in comparison to other people or myself. I just sort of say, hey, that's a cool story about some telepath.
I put Professor X in a wheelchair, not a pedestal.
Yeah. Here's Joe Crazy. People die when they are killed, or do they? According to this quote Bouticus Maximus, they really cease living. Okay, yeah.
According to Middle Eastern philosopher Chilean Moscovich, back in the 1700s, we had a cultural shift that had to do with the languages that were being used, culturally mixing with immigration during that time period through Ellis Island. And because of that, we had a sort of syncretic nature to the literature that has been almost extinguished. But now we need a shift to that, because more than ever, immigration is influencing our culture. And because of that, blah, 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 blah.
You know, you've probably said just as much as she has.
Yeah, I'm brilliant. I'm brilliant, but not as brilliant as her, to be honest, because she's an anti-heroine, which is where we need. It's what we need right now.
I'm still waiting for the female angle here. I'm just waiting to.
She's melting my brain.
No, see, Shiny, she's fine. She's good.
The Monday Matt says what he fucking means. She just goes off on this whole, like, she can't just say what she's saying. She goes on this whole circle, and it's not saying anything.
We're getting there.
She's actually saying.
She's building it up, damn it. You have to listen, okay? Just take your time. Listen. Where are you, a chauvinist? Well, come on.
However, this is happening at the time of global death tolls and general unrest. Either way, with the failure of something like Dark Universe on one hand, and the way DC plows ahead with its films about villains on the other hand, not to mention the manipulation of the so-called hopeful messaging in the final installment of the Star Wars saga, it seems like the studios are getting mixed messages on what the audiences want in a blockbuster film. They don't understand what the center of gravity actually is.
Oh boy.
So
for different films, it's very dependent on what you're looking at. For different films, they have different audiences, and there's not one specific way to do a blockbuster film. There's many different things which you want in different films. You watch different films for different things.
Well, she was quoting that previous analytic who was talking about literary theory, and we have to find the center of gravity for each of these characters. It's like you're not listening to this critic from 50, 60 years ago. Like, everyone has to do that now. Like, really, Wittenfall? I have to go read some obscure analyst to appreciate a film? Really?
Why can't you just use your own thoughts?
We don't know what we want.
Just write a good story, and surprise, surprise, people like it.
Very strange. Okay. I mean, if she wants us to read this guy, she gave us one paragraph. I guess that was really important, but okay. We can't make our minds up. We don't know what we want. We got to go on a self journey of identity and figure out, oh, I like action films now. Oh, okay.
Is at the center of gravity. Complex heroes and heroines that have happy endings? Well, yeah. Remember Dark Ray? The image of her sparked hundreds of fan arts and fanfics because women saw themselves in this version of Rey.
No, okay, I have seen this video before.
It ended up being the biggest letdown of the entire film, I think.
Okay, I think I remember why this video. Yeah, I think we covered it on LiteratureDev's stream. We have to have, because
on Morning Nonsense.
Yeah, because
okay.
This is something I remember very vividly.
Nobody watches that anymore. Nobody goes there anymore.
No one watches that.
Only a couple, 200 people.
LiteratureDevil can't even get a reservation at Dorsia.
Yeah. But here's the thing: the Dark Ray thing was done specifically to create fans, to have fans going, "What could this be?" And it ended up being once again like the most shallow thing possible. It was, it's a dream sequence, like many people called it out to be. But it was there specifically to be like, ooh, Rey could be an eviltism. It's not really. We'd never do that to Rey. Our pride and joy.
It was all because of what? Episode 5? They had to do their own version of it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Bravo, JJ.
That was my territory. You're getting my fucking turf now.
Okay. Just chill out there, Shiny.
Shiny's mad.
I'm sure she has her own take on
That's
why.
my secret clip. I'm always mad.
She has her own interpretation of why this is, but you know what? That's fine. We can respect that. Everyone has their own taste, and that's totally cool. Here's Joe Crazy. Dark Ray also produces a lot of laughter. Yeah, there's so many things wrong with this film. You could enjoy it for the bad film it is and laugh at it. I think that's what I do. Because when I was so stunned, I couldn't process it. And I thought, oh, this is a farce. This is pretty much a mess.
I think I remember the reason why... I think I remember the argument she was trying to make here. And I think it was that she's trying to say the reason why so many people got behind Dark Ray was because women could see themselves in Dark Ray. And I think that's if I remember correctly, that's the argument she was making.
Because they can never see themselves in Luke. Luke is impossible. Being a guy and not being a girl, like you can not possibly associate a woman's mind with the character on screen who's a male. It's just impossible.
Bilbo Teeth Ray wasn't a character which women related to. It was just it was like, oh my god, Dark Ray, it's something that becomes really edgy and cool. Oh, I'm gonna do all these fan drawings of it because it's cool and edgy. It was the concept that, and people didn't relate to that concept. They just thought it was a cool, edgy concept, and that was the reason why people drew it.
It's fun to draw. It's fun to fantasize. That's it.
There was also just a lot of theories as well.
It's just imagery. Yeah. Here's Jake the Surgeon again. Thank you, sir. Done? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say J.J. Abrams doesn't know how to do anything other than theory bait.
All the trailers are nothing but theory bait all the time. Every single one when it comes to J.J. Abrams. If you look at the last Force Awakens. Force Awakens trailer. It's nothing but what's this? What's this? What's this? What kind of theory is going to be behind this? Who's Snoke?
What's this?
It's something which even the film then goes on to do, because then the film is also about what's this? What's this theory? You can create theories about Snoke, create theories about Phasma, create theories about this, create theories about that, create theories about Rey, create that and that and that and that. And then Last Jedi came along and said, "Yo, you're dumb for making those theories."
Yeah. Ryan Johnson, thank you for destroying Star Wars.
Right.
That was great. Thank you.
Here's Jake the Surgeon. I still can't get over Darth Sue's idiotic weapon. It's just a joke. I mean, to have a switchblade, dual-bladed lightsaber is just insane.
It folds. It can stab twice as much.
If you thought...
In case you need to stab someone twice with a lightsaber.
If you thought a double-bladed lightsaber was complicated and hard to handle and almost impossible to believe, one that rotates 180 degrees is just, oh, come on, that's pushing it. With a hatch or a ledge or whatever you want to call the hinge that keeps it in place. It's like, oh, okay.
Also, I want to point out that this is not the first time a fold-up lightsaber has been seen, but this is the first time that the lightsaber folding has been like, okay, I'm going to activate both of them, then I'm going to fold them out, like acting like it's supposed to be used when you're firing both at the same time. Most of the time when you see a fold-up lightsaber, it's for things like storing. So the lightsaber in Rebels, I believe, it was the Jedi Guardian lightsaber in Rebels. It was foldable, and in the same with Clone Wars, General Krell's lightsaber was folded because he had 2 double-bladed lightsabers. He had 4 arms, and it's just for storage space that they fold up, and that makes sense to be able to fold them, but not for using them both at the same time activated like that. And it was really stupid the way that it just unfolded to just become a regular double-bladed lightsaber.
Here's Joe Crazy. Dark Ray action figures coming to stores soon, now with karate chop action. You know what? I think those would actually sell.
Yes. They would sell to Ethan Van Sciver so he could run them over in his car. Make more female Star Wars characters with terrible outfits. That'll definitely get the kids going.
If you're gonna
keep making the audience narrower and narrower until there's none left.
If you're gonna make Daisy Ridley look cool and sexy, that will sell. She looks better here.
No, just don't hire unsexy people. Just go back to the model rules where you can hire people based on looks, and suddenly the numbers will go up. But if you're too principled for that, then don't do it. Just go the opposite direction. See how that works out.
And don't do build.
You know what I mean?
Well, let's just don't do them.
Just don't be stupid. That's all. I'm not saying that there's any specific right answer here. There's a bunch of right answers, but you keep doing the wrong ones. What's wrong with you?
Even after the film showed a disappointing 17 seconds of this shadow, weird pointy teeth and all, fans still it's obvious that
17 seconds. Aw, what was the scene in episode 5? That was like what, 20 seconds at most? Fighting a shadow version of Darth Vader, and then we see his head, his Luke's like that. That wasn't that long.
I thought that it was Kylo Ren was her shadow.
It's only 17 seconds. It's not a major plot point. It's just something happens, and then she somehow flies out of the room. I don't know what exactly was going on there. There was no lesson.
This was just because the Empire Strikes Back one was in there. Really, this was just in it for the trailer to be like maybe she goes evil. This had nothing to do with anything.
It came out of nowhere. Why would a room that has a wayfinder or whatever be evil? A room, like a cave would be like a.
Because it's Palpatine's bedroom.
Palpatine.
Was it?
It was Palpatine's special kinky sex dungeon where he saw evil versions of himself, and they.
It actually served a purpose. That's a good purpose, Shiny. I'm glad you should have written it.
So she's lamenting the fact it's only 17 seconds. I don't even know why she bothered measuring that, but okay. She really likes that scene.
Rey would not completely fall to the dark side, but to flirt with darkness, to come face to face.
She didn't flirt with it.
Come face to face with Nega Scott.
Flirting with darkness and having a dark version, they're two very different things, and right now Rey is complete light side and Dark Rey is complete dark side.
Entering a room
Eviltism
does not make you wanting to be evil, okay?
Evil Rey is just as much as a villain Sue as Rey is a Mary Sue.
For 17 seconds, apparently. It's just, what does she say? I don't know. I've lost the narrative here.
I don't even know what the point is at this point.
Don't worry. This happens every minute. This is Joe Crazy again. Dark Rey looks like Christopher Walken from Sleepy Hollow. Wait a second. Let me just look for that up.
That's actually not inaccurate, actually.
Too bad Rey didn't gain the power of self-respect. She had to face down Nega Rey.
And he will come.
Too bad Christopher Walken wasn't the hero of this movie. I would have watched it more than once.
There he is.
Or the Bilbo Gollum teeth.
Oh my.
Bilbo Boggles.
Not bad.
Yep.
Oh boy. Oh no. That's terrible. What are you doing?
What happened to my dentist?
What happened to your face? You saw a lot of whack.
Oh, good boy.
All right, let's get going.
That's more interesting than the video.
Yeah, I completely agree.
That's superior movie. With anything with Christopher Walken's pretty amazing. So
Christopher Skywalker.
I would watch a film about Christopher Skywalker.
Yeah, me too. No.
Hey, Luke, use the Force. Use the Force. Yeah, do it.
Force. Luke, use the Force. He's got this like weird New York accent that's been twisted. It's amazing.
But he's like really old
back
now.
to doing some heroin.
Yeah.
With the shadow inside. That's incredibly relatable.
It's incredibly relatable.
Fucking
Is it?
Relatable.
Really?
Skywalking.
I fight my dark side evil twin all the time. I don't know what you guys are on about.
Well, what's your dark side evil twin?
Cassette in the radio.
Does he
I thought it would be CD or Blu-ray. Something which is a far superior.
Isn't it video that killed the radio star? So wouldn't it be like
voice in the video?
Noise in the video? Yeah, I don't know. Voice in the video.
Static in the video.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Visual in the TV. I don't know.
So I'm guessing she's relatable because it's a woman. I'm assuming this is what the whole video should be about. So I'm assuming this is where she includes it.
I'm a woman.
I'm a woman.
Same.
We're all women.
Feminine coded characters on screen deserve to be just as complex, flawed. and
Feminine
damaging
coded?
as
Did you
masculine
really just say that instead of
Okay.
But they
women?
also don't.
Does that
Okay,
mean
so
like?
yeah, you can have complex women, but Ray is not complex, and neither is Dark Ray.
Does that mean you could have male characters who are trying to be female, or they're seen as female? Is that what she's getting at? Like the role of the female, not necessarily a female character?
Maybe she's trying to include trans people. Who knows?
Ah, okay. It just all these adjectives and pronouns are just like, what do you? Why are you? Okay, you could have just said woman. That'd have been
But
fine.
it's is she complaining that Ray is a Mary Sue, and that has no character? She's completely one-dimensional.
Well, that's
Is
for
that
us
what
to
she's
talk
talking
about.
about?
I don't think she's ever going to admit that, but that's okay. She's completely relatable. Her dark side's so cool.
The Dark Ray is completely relatable.
Jake the Surgeon again. I too flirt with darkness. Unfortunately, she likes it too kinky for me. If you don't know this, Smud, revoke your Isekai card. Okay, Isekai card.
Isekai?
I know what you mean by darkness, yes.
Anime card revoked.
Everyone loves a nice masochistic... No, sorry, is she a sadist or a masochist? I'm trying to remember. No, she's a masochist, yeah. She's a blonde,
I have to
busty
break away
masochist.
for a couple minutes.
Okay.
But I will be back in 20 or so.
Alrighty, we'll still be here, I bet.
We will always be here. Subscribe.
Forever.
Subscribe to Glib while you're here.
No, don't subscribe to Glib. He smells.
Oh, yeah, we could really tell that over the microphone. Okay.
Well, I'm a radio. I have smell-o-vision.
Ooh, that's Canadian.
Well, wouldn't that be a bit too advanced for radio?
I live in 2020, Shiny.
Yeah, but you're an old radio.
I can have upgrades.
Why
do you think I'm using a computer?
But if you just put arms on a radio.
No, I'm just plugged in.
Would you have a USB port?
Yes.
So if you look at old circuit boards, I don't think you could put a USB port onto an old circuit board.
I have surgery.
So
I had surgery. Okay.
I don't think that's how anything works.
USB is
So
amazing, Shiny.
I'm not actually the radio. I'm the voice.
Is something which is literally impossible.
But here's the thing: I'm not the radio. I am the voice from within the radio. That doesn't mean I can't leave the radio and be somewhere else.
So you're now the voice in the computer.
Yes.
Then you're a complete lie. Then it's false advertisement.
I live in the computer. Do you live at work when you leave your house and go to work?
Yes. Well, I am on a Star Destroyer all the time. I'm a clone. I don't exactly stop working.
Clones don't work on Star Destroyers.
We
You guys
do.
were made redundant.
Venator Star Destroyers, not Imperial Star Destroyers.
All right, guys, that's good. Thank you much. Alex Halo, here's an interesting one. Well, we know they aren't talking about traps. SJWs hate them and keep demanding they be trans and to stop calling them that. I don't know what the attitude SJWs have about characters in anime who are traps. I don't know, because that's a fictional...
Social Justice doesn't like the term trap because it's transphobic.
Why is it How is it transphobic?
Because it's a negative connotation term to describe trans people.
Why is it negative? Isn't it literally just a male who's very feminine and dresses feminine?
It's a male, yeah, but they consider it offensive to transgender people.
A cute character whose sexuality is irrelevant, who happens to be female and looks feminine, is offensive to them? Really? Because I would rather look at a trap in a cartoon than a trans person in reality.
It's more the term trap. They don't like that at all.
Okay.
The term trap
It's like
itself.
their faces. So
I don't see the big deal. Honestly, it's fiction. Who cares? But all right, if they want to get angry at media, they can get as angry as they like. Japan as a culture is not going to change or not going to care. So good luck with that, HJWs. I'd be happy to see you fight on that mountain. Go climb that hill. See how far you get. All right. Jake the Surgeon. Sith Hunter Jar Jar needs to be what revives Star Wars. Unironically. Oh, Sith Jar Jar. Sith Hunter Jar Jar. I'm trying to imagine Sith Jar Jar, then Sith Hunter Jar Jar. I don't know what a Sith Hunter is. That means you chase Sith, or you are a Sith and you hunt after Jedi? Which one is it?
I would assume it's like
It'd be either or.
that you'd hunt Sith for a living. That's
Yeah, a Sith. Yeah, a Sith Hunter Jar Jar would be as someone who hunts Sith, whereas the other term would be a Sith assassin. Assassin, which is a Sith. Darth Maul and Sarge Ventress are both Sith assassins.
Okay, that makes more sense. Good stuff. Good to know. I don't know all these terms, guys, but I do appreciate having a lore handbook in the form of shiny here. That's always good. Okay. Criminal imagination. Their attitude towards traps, they look more feminine than them, therefore ban it. I guess they're jealous? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't see... If you would have characters in a piece of fiction that are transsexuals, that's what they are, essentially, right? They look... than what they should appear. That's a good thing. They represent those things. But if they're saying, oh, they're more attractive, it's like, well, isn't that what you want? Don't you want the ideal? Isn't that the concept you're going for?
No, transsexuals have to be unattractive, I guess.
Well, if you're looking at a certain game which we've been covering on Morning Nonsense, I guess that's the truth. Transsexuals have to be very unattractive. Oh boy, I all of you missed that, didn't you, this morning?
What's that?
It's weird that they don't want to romanticize their own ideals.
There is a progressive dating game called Validate.
Oh, that one that came. It was on. It was on Kickstarter last month. I saw that. It is obscure and almost scary. It is so weird.
Really?
My favorite is the marriage counselor.
Really, what's wrong?
Marriage is a sham. The government.
I could just imagine that she's actively trying to break up marriages.
Imagine a series.
Someone comes to the marriage council and says, "Get a divorce." But you don't even know what our problem is. Get a divorce.
Like
we just kind of
smash the system.
There used to be a term called metrosexual, and now it's just trans. It's just like that. Forget about it. You're transsexual now. You look too feminine or unattractive to be feminine, or some denomination. It's just this group, and the descriptions of those characters were just obscure. I couldn't believe those were actual descriptions. Who would help?
It's weird. You start seeing them eat each other, and then you just wonder what the fuck is going on.
It's just I couldn't believe that's a thing, and people put money into that, and it's actually getting made. And there's a demo.
It got just under $50,000, but then again, I think what was it a game called Subverse, which is a porn game. That got about was it $1 million and £1.5 million.
Oh yeah, the Tim Pool game.
It got. So I'm much more happy that gets a lot more, and it actually does have gameplay. It's got well, just from what I saw this morning, it's got XCOM like turn-based strategy gameplay, and it also has spaceships fighting gameplay and boobs, but more importantly, spaceship fighting gameplay as actual gameplay.
And most importantly, boobs.
No, that's not important. That's not what you play a game for.
I disagree.
Okay. We all have standards for playing games with boobs, okay? There's boobs, and then there's
If there is no gameplay, then it's not a game, is it?
I don't know.
There's still boobs, Shiny.
But it's not a game.
Okay. Here's Alex Halo. All trans and gays from the Annie Memes subreddit took our side and said it wasn't offensive and used it as a compliment, and they got banned for it on their own subreddit? That doesn't make sense. Or you mean from Reddit as a whole?
That's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, well, I don't know. I'm not familiar with these parts of the web. It seems rather silly to get annoyed over cute figures in a Japanese anime, which is made to be fun and lighthearted.
Have you seen what people are getting upset about these days?
Well, I am on Twitter.
Does that really surprise you that people are upset with
Well, it's
Japanese
mostly
anime?
politics, but I don't think it's. I'm not in the SJW world, so I don't know what that is, what they are concerned with. But
we all live in the SJW world.
No. I don't think
we're all living.
Wit and Folly is
it's
not
that
SJW.
world.
She's just Wit and Folly. I mean, she's her own.
Yeah,
brand
she's batshit crazy.
Exactly. She's her own. We can't grasp her, so we categorize her as crazy because it doesn't make sense to us. To her, it makes perfect sense.
I was more just being hyperbolic, saying we live in an SJW world. I wasn't actually being serious.
Anyway, let's get back to whatever the hell she was talking about. I can't recall.
Encoded characters on screen deserve to be just as complex, flawed, and damaged as masculine coded ones. But they also don't deserve to be punished.
I don't think anyone said otherwise
ever. The more
ever.
complex they are, the more the audience is rooting
Sorry,
for them to have a feminine
you spoke over, so I want to hear what
on
they said.
Screen deserve to be just as complex, flawed, and damaged as masculine coded ones. But they also don't deserve to be punished for that.
Wait.
Wait, what characters are punished for being complex? Female characters specifically.
What characters are also for being male and being punished for being? What story is that part of? Like, what are you referring to? What movie? What book? Like, what? Punished for being a gender?
No, being a comp. No. So what she's saying is
that
they shouldn't be punished for female characters. Shouldn't be punished for being complex female characters. They deserve to be complex. I think she's inferring that Rey isn't complex, and that Dark Rey would have made her complex. And apparently, if female characters are made complex these days, then they're punished for being complex.
Okay, so we mean outside the narrative, meaning the audience reaction. How we think of Rey, you mean?
I think she's talking about with a story to be punished. Narrative of punishing those characters, because when you're talking about how complex a character is, you're usually referring to the story, and punishment out. You're punishing the character would be within the story.
I am just losing.
Or is it punishment to not let the female character be complex?
No. She's specifically saying you shouldn't punish the character for being complex, so that the punishment isn't not being complex.
I don't know who's doing the punishing here. What's going on?
Yeah, she doesn't. I don't know if she does give any examples. It's been a long time since I last watched this video.
I wouldn't say that the audience is punishing Rey. We just don't like her because she's a
No. She's not saying the audience is punishing Rey. I don't think she's even saying that the script is punishing Rey. She's saying that female characters deserve to be more complex, just as complex as male characters. And then she's saying they shouldn't be punished by the story for being as complex as male characters.
Okay, that's fine. Give me an example. Like, I don't know.
And then, she's inferring that they are indeed punished for being complex female characters by the story. And I don't think there is any example you can go to. And yes, you can go to characters which are female that are punished, but that's because that's something which happens within the story for a reason of a narrative, and that doesn't exclude male characters from being punished. There are plenty of male characters who get punished. James Bond has his fucking nuts crushed.
Yeah, but look at like classic Shakespeare. We have Ophelia from Hamlet. She gets punished. She commits suicide. She goes crazy. There's Taming of the Shrew. There's Katharina. She gets her whole life turned upside down because of Petruchio. I mean, they're punished, essentially. What's wrong with that? That's the whole point of the story. That's why
Gwen Elvira is tortured and turned into a slave throughout the second half of The Great Hunt.
What's wrong with having characters who are punished? I don't get it. They're great characters.
Say that female characters shouldn't face adversity or something?
Well, then it's difficult to make a complex character if they're never facing any kind of adversity.
Or the only way, or she doesn't like the idea that female characters can be complex.
Maybe if we keep watching the video, this is a possibility. She'll maybe explain herself, but it's only a slight possibility. I don't know if she does, nor do I. Think she maybe will.
Yeah, we want our characters to go through the gauntlet of conflict of whatever the scenario they're in. We want them almost literally to be punished. So,
She-Hulk gets punished in Last of Us 2.
Well, I mean that's a given, right? That we expect that to happen. Okay, let's keep going.
The more complex they are, the more the audience is rooting for them to have a happy ending, to come back with...
No, just because they're complex doesn't mean we want them to have a happy ending. What correlation is that? Why
the audience perception? The audience perception is very different from the complexity of the character. They're two elements, and you're trying to glue them together. That they're not supposed to be together. They are two separate things. What the story wants for a character, like people want a happy ending for Rey, and yet she is one of the least complex characters probably ever written. So Rey's not complex, but yet people want her to be happy.
I mean, how about Gone Girl with the character Amy? I mean, she's pretty complex. I mean,
people caring about characters is more about how the audience perceives them to, like, if they like the character. It's more to do with that.
Yeah, I just don't see how complexity means they must have happy endings, as if it's like a romance story or a comedy. Like if you, again, going back to Shakespeare, if it's a comedy or it's a rom-com, it always ends in a marriage. That's just what you want out of your stage plays and during those times. We kind of still want that. But not because they're complex. Katarina was...
It's just because it's satisfying.
Yeah,
They can't have sad endings either. Like, there's no such thing as a tragedy. There's no such thing as a sad story. And that makes it a bad story, apparently. If it's sad.
I wouldn't put like Katarina on a level of complexity. She wasn't this diverse. She was a very boisterous and untamed woman who was going past her prime to be married off. So that was the whole plot. But she's not some, genius mastermind with a dark past and failed marriages. No, she's just a woman.
Another thing, what the audience wants for a character is very different than what would actually make a good story for that character. I mean, an audience generally wants a good story, but when you're talking about specific aspects, like, I want Luke to come in and I want him to be super edgy dark. It's like, why the fuck do you want Luke to be super edgy dark? I want him to come in and I want him to use Force lightning because that'd be cool. It's like, why the fuck do you want to be used for? People come up with weird ideas about what they want, and you should focus on what works narratively more than what the audience may want, but you still want to give the audience a good experience by telling them a good story. It's not what Rian Johnson thinks by giving them exactly what they didn't want, that it's still a good story, because it doesn't work narratively within what he's trying to tell.
The elixir to bestow on their community. I'd even argue that if the audience doesn't want a happy ending, they certainly need it. It's a hopeful message.
Okay. So the audience in a certain film or genre of film don't want a happy ending, but
they need it, apparently. But it's purely based on the story you want to tell. You can have happy stories and sad stories, and they don't need to be one way or the other. It's purely based on what the writer wants to write into their story.
Is she going based off her understanding of Joseph Campbell that, in Joseph Campbell's analysis, therefore you must have a happy ending for whatever reason? It's like, okay, but why? Maybe, I don't know. Where is she coming with this conclusion? This is like some weird criteria. They need a happy ending. It's like, just because female hero, I guess?
Message to say that even though you are flawed and broken, you deserve happiness. Now,
I don't
wanna
think
talk
a
about
sad
this-
film says that you don't deserve happiness if you are flawed and broken doesn't necessarily mean you're a complex character. It's a complex character isn't just being flawed and broken. There are a lot more elements which go into it.
Yeah, she's really reaching here. I don't know where she's coming up with this stuff. Because female, because sad and broken, therefore you must have happy ending, even if you don't want it.
Version of Harley Quinn. When you put Harley in a story where she isn't the main character, she's sort of a tag-along of the shadows of the heroes. She's basically...
But she's not supposed to be the main character. She's never supposed to be the main character. She was never designed as a main character to become a leader of a franchise. She's a... Yeah, it's just, oh, well, when she's not the protagonist of the film, she's a third wheel. It's like, yes, she was designed to be a side character, a goon.
She has been getting popular in the past few years for all sorts of reasons. She got her own comic, she got her own show.
It's because they've been trying to constantly been trying to push her as her own thing, but there's no point trying to make something it's not and what it's not designed to be.
I don't mind that her plot of wanting to reform herself or get out of the Joker's shadow. I think that's fine. You can do this with characters if there's a demand for it. Great. But you still have to make that work as now a main character, not as a side character anymore. So there has to be something about them that has to come about that we've never seen before, or there's something unique, like the fact she's a doctor or used to be a doctor. Sure, we can play with all these ideas.
Ben Shapiro's wife's a doctor.
There you go. I don't know how that was connected, but okay.
Well, because he just randomly mentions his wife's a doctor.
I know. That's so scary. I got she a Raylo fan and she's pissed. Yeah, we know she's a Raylo fan. She also likes what are those Asian heartthrobs? I don't know who they are.
Wait. Was she trying to say that Kylo Ren dying was punishing Rey because she couldn't have a happy ending with him? Is that what she was trying to get across?
We don't know. Honestly, she could be saying anything.
I completely agree. She can be saying anything.
Yep.
She's iconic and memorable, sure, but also she's sort of tragic. I would not have ever used the word empowering to describe Harley Quinn, but center a story around Harley and you get a potential that's really endearing. Harley was always a victim of circumstance as well.
Have any of you seen Birds of Prey?
No, sir.
You know what? Neither have I.
No, I have not.
Because it's not endearing. I've seen parts of it. It doesn't look endearing at all. Margot Robbie is grating on the ears as Harley Quinn, especially in this film.
As a character with tragic flaws. She's whip smart and capable, but also lonely and easily fixated. Hodson and Robbie wrote Harley as someone who likes hanging out with her girlfriends, who parties like there's no tomorrow, consequences be damned, and the consequences are damned. She's someone who doesn't take care of her hair when she's going through shit, and compartmentalizes her problems so she can focus on short-term pleasures. These aren't things all women experience, but they certainly are things women may experience and relate to. But the greatest thing about Harley is that not only is she an anti-heroine, she's also feminine coded. She likes pink, shoots sparkles, and dresses her...
Feminine encoded, again.
Feminine coded, I think she's trying to say feminine coded means that you are effeminate. You like pink, you like dresses, you like being girly.
Why not just say feminine?
I mean, because she likes to use weird words.
I think the word feminine means feminine. I don't think we need to add another suffix there.
Jake the Surgeon has a very good super chat.
All right. I have not seen Birds of Prey, but I have heard that the CIA use it to convince terrorists to give them information. It's that bad, huh?
I haven't seen it either. I just...
And Southpaw said, no, don't watch it. It's not worth your time.
I just flat refused to see it because it just didn't look good. Also, the people that I hate liked it. Like Alex Shaw loved it, and I think that Movie Bob loved it as well. So I'm like, that is immediately turned off. I am watching this.
Movie Bob seems to like everything apart from the stuff that makes sense. So
he just doesn't like good things. He doesn't like things which are well written. That's just a general rule for Movie Bob.
Rule of Movie Bob.
I want to know where she got the word.
He's an anomaly, something illusionary. We don't quite understand what he is, but he is something.
Feminine coded.
He loves Godzilla King of the Monsters a lot. His video is hilarious because he's just like fanboy gasming all over the place. But the problem is there's not much interesting fanboy gasming stuff in that movie. It's mostly just boring human stuff. It's not very well written.
I don't know. I'm still getting lost in all these words that are too complicated. Just use word feminine. We get it. She's a girl. She looks feminine. She looks crazy looking too. But we can tell she's female. Okay, great. Now, arguably that's probably because of Margot Robbie being a rather attractive lady, and all the makeup is, in the way. But we get it. She's playing a character. Okay, she's feminine. We know Harley Quinn is a girl. Okay, that's good.
She's a woman.
Taxidermy beaver in a tutu. She likes painting nails, has daddy issues, and is on a roller derby team. She likes margaritas, keeps spare tampons in her pocket, and dreams in old musicals, like another classic antiheroine. Many antiheroines, of which there are not many in Western media, are more masculine coded. They are praised and celebrated because
an attempt
they were
to tie
just as smart,
Harley
just
Quinn
as
to
strong
Bridget
as
Jones's
the men in their
Diary?
stories. They're always being compared to men.
Am I the only one who can work and drink at the same time?
In this tale, Harley is not. In Eastern media, especially in anime and dramas, there are so many more anti-heroines to enjoy who are both problematic and feminine coded. And most of this is due to the fact that most of the writers of television in Asia are women. In South Korea, 90% of the directors, writers, producers, executive producers, editors, and photography directors are women. In the US, it's just 27%.
Oh my god, it's horrible.
That means absolutely nothing, because you know what doesn't impact stories? People working fucking cameras.
I mean, the argument then becomes, well, there should be more men in Asian film then, clearly.
The thing is, I don't even think that gender matters within when you're writing a story. Like, it doesn't matter how many male writers you have or how many female writers you have, as long as you just have good writers or good people who know what they're doing with photography or good people who know what they're doing with visual effects. It doesn't matter how many female visual effects artists there are or how many female writers they are. Just tells fucking good stories. It doesn't matter how many female doctors there are. Just have doctors which heal your heart, that sew you up when you're hurt. Have a fireman which can actually go into a fire and pull someone out. It doesn't matter their gender.
But why did she even bring up this stat? Like, who cares what they do? Like, argue the point you're making with whatever you're referencing. Why are you bringing up, hey, in Asia, they do these kinds of films, and they're like that. You're like, okay, yeah, and? Your point? Are they heroines? Are they anti-heroines? What are they? What are they trying to do?
Also, the main issue with most writing an anti-heroine is because
Dunn?
Usually anti-heroine is related to violence in some way. Why does it do this?
Dunn, you just cut out.
I think that one of the main issues with anti-hero is because why is it doing this? Why is it doing this to me?
Your mic really doesn't like you. And Glib doesn't like you either.
It works fine on Discord. It works fine on like Streamlabs, but it's just Discord is
Is it maybe internet then?
stupid.
What does it say connections at when it goes like that?
Maybe.
So what you're saying is that the heroines or anti-heroines
it
are
says it's a
associated
full.
with violence.
A lot of the time, yes.
Okay.
I think what Wit and Folly's saying is that a lot of female anti-heroes or anti-villains or whatever the fuck you're saying, I think she's anti-heroines, so fuck, I don't know, I don't care, is trying to say that a lot of them are masculine. And I would agree that when people in Hollywood try to make a female action hero, they just try to make them masculine. And there isn't necessarily anything wrong with making a female character more masculine, as you're trying to take on a masculine role. But it's certainly not the only way you can create a female hero. Like, they think that... I think characters like Captain Marvel are the only negative characters which can be a negative female masculine role, whereas probably a more positive female masculine role would be I don't know, Femshep, who's got masculine traits while also being a woman action hero kind of thing.
Yeah, the femininity or masculinity.
Negative, I really mean good, well written, poorly written.
Yeah, the masculinity or femininity of the Shepard character in Mass Effect is inconsequential for the most part. No one really cares gender. It's not the focus of the narrative. It's never really brought up. There are some aesthetic options. There are some side stories, but that's it. It's not, has nothing to do with the plot or the character. So it's not a big idea. Anyway,
you can make masculine female heroes. Just don't make them Captain Marvel. Just don't. Don't.
Here's Jake the Surgeon. A good majority of that high-quality tentacle monster hentai is written by women. Fantastic. Thanks, Japan.
They're women.
Is this working better? Or?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay, cool.
All right.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll work.
Okay, let's keep going.
It'll work.
The real reason we need this in Western media is because anti-heroines are begging to be written by women, and women directors are begging to write complex, flawed characters.
And you know what happens?
Wait,
you
wait,
get
wait,
characters like Harley Quinn in Birds of Prey.
Wait.
And it's a very poorly written film. And that's the reason why you should give films to people who know what the fuck they're writing about.
So what you're saying is that women directors and writers have a big desire to write scripts for Hollywood, but Hollywood's not buying it. Why is that?
Probably because they're being poorly written in history. You can tell these stories well, it's just they're not being told well in things like Birds of Prey,
clearly,
which did very
Clearly, the emancipation of Harley Quinn was made into a film. Someone greenlit it and said, "This is great. Let's go for it."
Though I would like to see where she's talking about with female writers want to tell and stories of anti-heroines, and I want to see how talented these people are and if they actually deserve to write a story about these heroines and be given a film, because not everyone can write a film. Not everyone can write a good film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would concur with that.
Here's Jake the Surgeon. A woman's head would explode, or this woman's head would explode, if she watched a trauma film. I think that's, where did I hear that before? Trauma. It sounds like a small budget film studio.
Trauma's a schlock. James Gunn used to work for them. Basically, they did stuff like Romeo and Juliet, which is a schlocky sex and violence film version of Romeo and Juliet, where at the end it turns out that Romeo and Juliet live, but they're brother and sister, but they still get married anyway.
So I'm guessing that's films made by Trauma Entertainment. I just googled them, and I just got a really weird website. God, this is a really old website. Was this made in fucking 2000? What is this? Get fucking Wix. What the fuck are you doing?
All right. Well, that's interesting. I remember hearing about them, but I never actually watched their films. So.
Yeah, the only film of theirs that I've seen was through the lens of a cinema snob and Kyle Calgren review.
All right. Okay.
Where it's like,
I may be offended, but the thing is, you need to do visuals well. If you don't do visuals well, I tell you, you're not doing them well. It's just a fact. It's objective, because there are good things that look good visually and things that don't look good visually. I'm a visuals person. I focus on visuals. It's my job that I want to do. Shut up.
Okay, let's get going.
This is about representation.
Okay, yeah, this is about representation. No, it's not. We don't care about representation. We don't care if it's male or female.
We care about well-written stories and your ability to write them well.
And good representation flows out of good stories. Where if you have a good story, Hollywood will see, oh, this movie made money. Well, alrighty, this movie had some smart diversity in it. Let's keep going and just do it in the exact same way this did, as opposed to how this movie did it.
Right, and this is actually the same message of Joseph Campbell. I know she went on this whole video about how Joseph Campbell says, well, the hero is always male, as an offshoot, and then someone made the heroine's journey and all this other stuff. But you actually read The Hero with a Thousand Faces, he's like, he's not describing a male hero. He's talking about the journey of the soul, of the things that a persona has to go through to change and grow and learn. So the gender of the heroes or the heroines or the antagonists don't matter. It's how you go through the slings and arrows of outrageous misfortune that matter, and what choices those characters make. Not to disregard the unique experiences of males and females have in life. That should be embraced in your stories. But this whole journey is about changing you as a person, not as a male or as a female.
You know, something I find very funny is the video we covered on Wit and Folly. When she started talking about Joseph Campbell, and when she said when she first heard of him, she thought, what does a middle-aged white man have to say? She didn't believe that a middle-aged white man had anything to say on anything.
Yeah.
And that was absolutely hilarious, that she was actively admitting that she was actually pretty sexist, and then to say, well, you know, I'm not going to listen to anyone who does these films, but, you know, we need more women, and that means I would watch them.
Yeah, how dare some old white dead guys tell me about life? What do they know back in ancient Greece, or the medieval period, or the Renaissance, or any other period? It's like, they're dum-dums.
And yet she continued to quote male philosophers from 100 years ago.
Yeah, she's great.
Wit and Folly is a particularly strange character. I don't think she's necessarily a feminist. She's just a bit batshit crazy with certain political beliefs. I don't think there's quite a political side to
Yeah, she's very weird.
I think we need to invent a new one. The Wit and Folly side.
Changing the tides to make way for more diverse and interesting femme fatales or magic girls.
Diverse and interesting femme fatales or magic girls. That's rather sexist of you, don't you think, Wit and Folly? The seductress, that's a female role. That's not particularly progressive.
What's a magic girl?
I'm assuming the genre of anime or manga, not necessarily in Western culture stories.
Well, what is that?
Dream girl? Or the main picture?
Like Sailor Moon is a magical girl. that idea.
Folly is bizarre in so many ways.
Why don't we have more anti-heroines, even though we know anti-heroes and even villains are so often more popular than heroes?
Don't we have what was that show on Netflix with based off Marvel Comics? She was a detective, female, very strong.
Jessica Jones?
Yeah, she was an anti-hero.
Yeah, Jessica Jones. Yeah. She's she's also like got a pretty bad drinking problem apparently. And that's kind of another like a personal like pleasure vice on top of as like a coping mechanism.
I think specifically the anti-heroine is like a niche, and that is something which is being filled by certain media already, and you don't need to oversaturate a niche.
It depends on demand, really. If there are characters and stories about characters that have female roles that have a certain demand, you can see versions of that, like Nancy Drew, those sorts of stories. People like adventures. Great. They'll write more about female leads. Mm-hmm. Some guy could invent a new character. I remember a young adult novel called Vesper Holly. She was basically Indiana Jones. Very similar to Nancy Drew, but not a murder mystery, but more like discovering and traveling.
Does Captain Marvel technically count as an anti-hero?
I don't.
I mean, she's villainous in some ways.
I don't think so.
Unfortunately,
she's framed as as a hero, but at the same time, she doesn't do nice things or even good things. She often does some quite horrific things, such as trying to blast off the Don's arm for saying "smile." The Don was purely trying to bring happiness.
I think
the last thing his wife said to him before he died was, smile. You need to make the world smile.
I've never seen it. I don't intend to. I imagine a heroine of her nature is rather heroic. So.
There are not roles like this for women right now. It's really, ooh.
You're reading the man's part.
Women deserve this representation in media. We deserve more stories. And not just feminine-coded anti-heroines, but it's certainly a start. Because it seems like popular Western media, despite how far it's come, is still desperately protective over its heroines. The characters are either feminine-coded do-gooders or masculine-coded badasses. What about all the stuff in between? We have so many stories to tell. Just as we shift
in between do-gooders and badasses. Okay, okay, to say in between. I know this is more just language, but to say it's in between something, it's something that's in between. You're talking purely about heroes, and to say in between two types of heroes, it's not an anti-hero. It's in fact an anti-hero is outside of the two things you just said within heroes.
Yeah, but you can make the same argument for any other character of any other role, regardless of gender. Like, who cares? Like, why is this a big thing? If the marketplace really wanted a bunch of women characters or leads, there would have been.
Well, we're not talking about female characters and leads. We're talking specifically about female anti-heroes. Or anti-heroines, I should say. That's the way she's preferred to talk about.
I know, but it's the same idea. Like, if gender is the only thing, like Batman's an anti-hero, what if Batman was a female? I don't think that would be that big a deal. It just was designed for boys at the time, for kids that happened to be into comics, which were mostly boys.
I don't think the coding of the hero or anything like that, or if they're an anti-hero, it doesn't fucking matter. Just tell the story you want to tell. If you want to tell a story about an anti-hero, by all means, tell a story about the anti-hero. If you want them to be effeminate and feminine, if you want them to be female or male, and as long as it's a good story, have at it. Go at it. All you want. No one's stopping you. You can make any kind of shit these days in Hollywood.
Just have it.
As long as you know the people with the pockets, you can make that. If, Lower Decks and everything else is a good thing to go off for how Hollywood acts and chooses what to make.
It's a strange argument. Oh, there's so many stories. Yeah, there's an infinite number of stories to be told in fiction about anything. We get it. Why is this important? And she hasn't given us a good reason why, aside from representation, which is like, I don't care. Maybe there's some really great trans female anti whatever to be told. I'm sure there are.
They always try to.
Done.
They try to couch this in terms of, like, it's a moral obligation to do certain.
Yeah, like it's a moral obligation to create a female anti-hero. No, I was agreeing with you, Dunn. I thought you stopped.
Oh no, I was done, and I am done, and
Yes,
I
you
will
are
forever
done.
be done.
And now I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, she's framing it as if they have to go out and start making these roles rather than just trying to tell the stories they want to tell. And that's something the writers should be encouraged more to do. To just tell the story they want to tell and write it well. And that's all they need to do. They don't need to try and follow trends or follow this, that, and the other, trying to chase what you need to do morally. I don't think there is a moral requirement to start making these characters. And Whitney Foley's argument is because women can relate more to anti-heroines, because the evidence for people relating more to anti-heroines is Dark Ray fan art.
Dark Ray is barely even a concept. It's so stupid, and it looks
all it is. It's trailer bait. It's just dark and edgy, and people latched onto it because, oh my god, it's dark and edgy Ray.
And it could have been interesting, but the problem is Ray has no character.
But did you really believe it was going to be interesting, considering the Ray we already... Ray was never going to be...
I thought it was going to be stupid.
Ray... We all know Ray at this point. Never going to be... There's no kind of dark side to her. They like to try and pretend there is a dark side. There isn't. She isn't struggling with anything. Yeah. Ray doesn't struggle.
All right. Let's just finish this off. We got a few seconds left.
We need to shift the center of gravity from anti-heroes to anti-heroines. We need to subvert what it means to be a hero. And
why do we need to subvert what it means to be a hero? That's silly.
You should exceed what it means. Subvert and exceed. You don't just subvert your expectations and then not give them anything.
That's like saying we need to do no longer Superman. Let's do more Superwoman. And you're like, why? What's the difference?
Because she's a woman.
Here's Joseph Kerwin.
We need more Batwoman because...
Oh, God. No, we don't. Oh,
we're getting a new season.
Oh, yeah.
But they're replacing Ruby Rose.
They're replacing the heroine.
That role.
They're changing the entire story.
Thank goodness. Well, like Ruby Rose, cannot act, at all. It's really sad, and yet Blockbuster Buster likes it.
Her best role I've seen her acting was in John Wick 2, and she didn't even say anything because she was mute.
Agreed.
I think
she cannot deal with that.
She's trying to say we need to subvert the anti-hero by start focusing more towards the anti-heroine and making the norm the anti-heroine. And why? Purely to subvert, because women apparently need this, but then she also just randomly starts talking about people deserving a happy ending. I think it was a random rant in the middle of about Ray for some reason.
You can always just do false advertising and showcase a story about an anti-heroine, but when you watch the film, it's really a story about a male paragon hero character. It's like, wait a second, what was this trailer lying to me all about? It's like, we subverted your expectation. You were expecting a female. It's really a male. Oh no. Playing the subversion game is stupid. It's just a silly thing. And I don't know why.
The only time you can subvert is when you're also subverting and exceeding. A good example, which I think LiteratureDevil brings up often, is the subversion of Empire Strikes Back. We're told Yoda is a great warrior, but what we got was a little green man, and what we still got was it fit what we were being told, and it's exceeded what we were being told. But we didn't expect a little green man to be the great warrior we were being told about. So when you subvert something, you have to exceed it, and you can't just subvert it for the sake of subverting.
Here's Joseph Kerwin. Unicorn Store was the story that author wanted to tell. Unicorn Store? What's that?
Unicorn. Oh, it's Brie Larson's
movie.
Yeah, it is quite bad, and in fact, its theming is a little weird, and it's supposed to be about growing up, but yet it's holding on to a lot of very
Brie Larson
immature things, and I remember the romance plot is
Brie Larson.
She co-produced and directed and starred. Oh my goodness, this is The Room, isn't it?
It's another. It's kind of got the weird romance thing where the male characters, they're just there to be there for the female character, and no matter what, they're always going to be there for the female character, despite the fact that the female character is absolute dick to them, and they should just try to get the fuck out of that relationship.
It seems as though it's Brie Larson trying to be quirky.
Yeah,
real quirky.
Brie Larson has trouble showing emotion. In the beginning of the story, it's acting like she's just misunderstood when she's given a project to draw a self-portrait. It's actively shown that all these other artists are doing self-portraits, and she just draws a big childish mess with a little tiny unicorn in the middle, and then she gets failed for that, and then it's trying to think oh, she just misunderstood. It's no, she actively didn't do the thing she was supposed to do for her assignment, and then they failed her because she didn't do the assignment. The fuck you on about, Phil?
Here's Taker610. Ruby wanted to transition to male early in life. I guess she's a very handsome girl. I don't know if that's a good thing to say or a mean thing. She seems attractive.
She's got
handsome. Well, handsome's actually a synonym for beautiful in regards to a woman. So it's so.
I think she means more. Handsome features on a man on Ruby Rose. I think that's what they're referring to. The jaw and everything, and it's aspects which make a man handsome are not the same aspects of what makes a woman beautiful.
All right, here's Joseph. Unicorn Store is Brie plus glitter and paper cutouts. Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if in that film Brie Larson gave herself a vajazzle. Just sprinkle fucking glitter over that shit.
Oh,
here's Tyler Preston.
Well, I know for a fact that Jennifer Love Hewitt did it.
Oh, great!
But Jennifer Love Hewitt is cute, is adorable, whereas Brie Larson is weird.
Those vajazzles are not adorable or cute or anything like that. It's just weird. But just considering the character that we're talking about specifically within Unicorn Store and her obsession with fucking glitter. She gets fired from her job because she starts going off on this random tirade about, was it Hoovers or something? She says, this isn't a Hoover which cleans your house. It's a Hoover that cleans your soul. She's making this huge fucking mess in the boardroom.
Here's a chat from Tyler Preston. Smudboy. Thoughts on the overrated movie The Matrix being said that the movie is a transgender allegory and nothing. I actually did a quick video about that a few days ago. But no, the Matrix is not a transgender film. There is that one character that is somewhat androgynous with the white suit. and I think they were going to give her a bigger role, but there's nothing about the film that represents trans or sexuality, really. So, no, I think it's just the projections of the two transgender director-writers that after, like the same thing with J.K. Rowling talking about their characters being this or that sexuality. It's the same thing. It's that level of, well, it's really a story about unicorns and how much they love each other. It's like, no, it's really about a bunch of robots who created a simulation for humanity so they could keep surviving, I think. I can't remember.
Good. Obviously, transgenderism. Obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Were you thinking not transgenderism? Well, obviously you were wrong.
Always nice to be told that by a transgender producer projecting so hard through the screen that they're saying in an interview, it's really about me. Okay, that's great.
We need to give them a happily ever after.
No, you don't
Why?
need to give anti-heroes a happy ever after. You don't. It's, again, as I said multiple times, it is down to what the writer wants to do with their story and what the writer feels like is going to do with their story. There are plenty of stories which don't end with a happy ending because the writer felt it was the best for their vision to write an unhappy ending. There's nothing wrong with that. Just because you want a happy ending doesn't mean the story has to give you a happy ending. As long as it's well written, it's not a problem within the story. The story should just aim to be well written.
That was pretty good. That was, wasn't that bad. Little crazy, but not like, oh my god, you are scaring me crazy like Maggie May Fish. Just like
Maggie May.
Yeah, that is.
This was more. We become barely trying to understand. Or we hardly understood half the things she was trying to say.
I think we could actually have a conversation with her. The problem is we just disagree with every single thing she'd say. We sit there going, that's not what Joseph Campbell meant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't want to, even attempt to communicate. That's fine. She's totally fine. Being a creator. She's not a YouTuber. She's a creator. She makes content on YouTube.
Creator.
Yeah, she's very, very particular with how you describe her. She's not a YouTuber, so that's fine. I have nothing against her videos. They just don't make much sense to me, but that's okay.
I don't think they make a lot of sense. I think even her viewers just project what they listen to the video, they clap, they project, they take whatever they understand and think, "Oh, she said a good," without actually thinking about what she's saying.
It's pretty. She uses lots of techniques on her editing. She has nice music. It's soft. It's like, oh, it's cute.
It's a video design that you don't think about it. Just don't think, and then you'll probably enjoy it.
Something along
and that's
those
what
lines.
you do.
Anyway, I think that was okay. I think we did all right. We didn't lose anyone aside from Glib, but he's always having a tough time.
He's still kind of here while being mute.
He's probably just
I think
eating.
he's still away. He's just AFK.
Anyway, we're going to call it a day. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We have a whole bunch more videos to go through. I'm not sure if we're going to go through all the suggestions, but they're on the list. We debate them. We figure out what we're going to do, and we make sure we're all happy with our choices. So thanks for tuning in. Any more suggestions, please check them out.
Sure.
Always check out the links in the description for all these other gentlemen on the stream who also aren't here. They're also available to link to their creator pages as well on YouTube.
I would brag about my latest video, but it's still being taken down.
Yes, YouTube is a fun, magical place.
My YouTube channel, I am a creator.
Yes.
I create things.
Very top level.
Create life.
Top level.
It's completely
top level categories. We just make stuff.
How much do you think that it would take for us to do a watch together of Jupiter Ascending?
Oh boy, that I don't know if I even want to do that. That is a mess.
It's the Wachowskis. Exactly, but I've never seen it, and I want to see it with friends because I don't want to just be on my own.
I think are our names on the stream in alphabetical order, like our icons? Because it's Glib, Lord, Captain, Commander Dunn, Shiny, Smud, and Voice.
You're figuring this out now? Is that how it normally does it, or is that?
I think it's alphabetical, and I never realized it until now.
Oh, good point.
It's just very very random. I know. Sorry.
Anyway, thanks for all the commentary, folks. Have yourself a great evening, and we will talk to you. No kinky fish sex time. No, we're not doing that next. But thanks for all the suggestions. Have yourself a great evening.